Badgers basketball is going to send us into the holiday break, send us into Christmas with the win. I'm going to tell you what I liked about what we saw in the front court today and a concern I still have with this team.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is good, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, here with you every single day in this holiday season. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, appreciate you guys. And we got to win, and we got to celebrate the wins. Let's go.
This is awesome.
It's awesome.
It's a good day for me. Come on in here, buddy. Get up on that line.
All right, so the Badgers take care of business. Today's show, we're going to talk about what we liked in the front court, a couple of big picture thoughts going forward, because this was not a great team that Wisconsin played in Detroit Mercy, and one concern I still have with this program. Let's start here. After every show, we do the good, the mid, and the ugly. We don't do the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that just sounds overly negative. Why have two bads and one good? So we do the good, the mid, the ugly. Let's start with the good, the front court. You got Winter with 18 points, Crowl with 15. Crowl was 7 of 10, which included 0 for 3 from the perimeter. So inside the arc, man, 7 of 7. You can't, it's hard to be more efficient than that. Running the floor, like we've always talked about it with Crowl. What is it? It's energy, man. It's showing up and working. It's being aggressive. It's doing what you can do. And he's not a super bouncy Marcus Camby athlete. We all know that. He's not going to block 5 shots a game, but bro, you can run the floor. You can seal people off. You can fight for rebounds. And he did that 2 or 3 occasions, getting a hand in there, tipping it, even if it went out on us. That level of energy is so important for this team. It's so important for that front court. And then Nolan Winter, fighting on the glass, 18 points, really, really looking more and more fluid, attacking the rim a little bit more, being a little more aggressive on defense, had a block. Like, Winter is the higher upside guy here. No doubt. And now it's starting to click for him. And here's the thing, if it's starting to click for Winter, starting to come together at that 4, and then you're just getting that normal level of production and effort from Crowl, your 4 and 5 is pretty good suddenly. Again, this is not a great team. It's not a big team. We all get that. But energy translates a little bit to whether you're playing a good team or a bad team, a big team or a small team. And if Crowl's playing with energy and you're getting this from Winter, what was it? 15 for Crowl, 18 for Winter, both on great efficiency. You're getting 33 from your front court on great efficiency. That's going to play. So that's definitely the good. You got to like what you see here. And 2 games ago, Gard aired it out a little bit. Gard talked about it. Gard, after that Illinois game, Gard talked about Crowl a little bit. How are you not going to get a rebound? How are you? And the last 2 games, we've seen re-energized Stephen Crowl. That's a really, really good sign for the Badgers. The mid, 20% from 3 and a little bit of a sloppy start. The sloppy start is fine. I mean, it's not fine, but you kind of expect it. Big layoff, kind of a sleepy crowd, cold day. They haven't played in a while. It's Detroit Mercy. There were 2 or 3 turnovers early in the game, and I probably wouldn't even mention it, except for the fact that the Badgers have had 4, 5, 6 sloppy starts this year, 4, 5, or 6 slow starts this year. You got to come out with a little more energy there. You haven't played in a while, I get it, but BYOE, man, bring your own energy. A little bit of a sloppy start. And then the 20% from 3, this team hasn't shot really well for a while. It's kind of been hovering below that range that I thought we would get at. I like the looks. I think there's a couple forces in there. I do continue to think that water finds its level and this team will shoot better as it goes on. The ugly, I think it's Klesmit, man. I really, if we're talking about the major things, and I'm going to get into some other points. I see some points coming up in the chat that I want to talk about. But if we're talking about the major things here, to me, Klesmit, we're about a third of the way through the year. You can start to draw conclusions on the stats now. It's not such a short sample size anymore. You're about a third of the way through. Klesmit is currently shooting 34% from the field, 29% from 3. He was 0 of 5 today, didn't score today, finished with a negative efficiency rating. Really, the only starter that didn't look engaged. And I don't know what it is. Some of the shots aren't great, but he's still getting some decent looks. He's just in a big slump now. And that puts a lot of pressure on Tonje and Blackwell to score. It puts pressure on Kamari McGee to be able to come in and score. He's got to get it going. You don't have to be the leading scorer on the team. He doesn't have to be like nuclear Klesmit, which he was in that stretch last year. But you got to get decent efficiency from him. You got to get, because here's the thing. If he's not giving you that scoring punch, He's not a true point guard. He's a good, hardworking defender, but he's not an elite shutdown guy. He's not Michael Flowers out there where if he doesn't score, he brings so much value in other ways. It's okay. He's not a Jordan Taylor type of a playmaker where if he's not scoring, at least he gives you a great assist to turnover ratio. If he's not scoring, like you have to, it really hurts. It hurts the spacing. It hurts the balance. If you can start getting back to 9 points a game, Klesman on 40, well, 40 is a great number, but 35% shooting from three, it's going to make such a big difference. But he's got to get it going. And that's easy for me to say, like tell a shooter in a slump, hey, man, you got to get it going. Well, he knows that. Like Coach Gard knows that. Everybody knows that. Yeah, get it going. But he's got to get it going. And that might be getting a couple easy buckets. That might be coming off a pin down and really putting the head down, shoulder into somebody, a little bit of Blackwell and Tonje, and get to the line. Like get 4 or 5 at the line because he's still shooting, despite the struggles from the field, the 3-point line, he's shooting exceptionally well. From the field and the 3-point line. Yeah, he's shooting exceptionally well from the free throw line. Still, I think it's his career best mark from the free throw line. So, bro, get downhill. Pump fake, get into somebody. Young cats, they want to block a shot. You're a veteran. Pump fake, give them that old man game, get into them, get to the line, get a couple easy points. And I think maybe that unlocks it a little bit. They got to get him going. So that's the ugly for me. Player of the game, we always do player of the game. It's Nolan Winter. Nolan Winter, absolutely player of the game. 18 points in 22 minutes. Are you kidding me? Let's go. Let's eat, kid. 11 boards. I think 5 of them were offensive, shooting at a high clip, good efficiency, nice mix of aggression and under control aggression. We're going to talk about somebody with maybe a little bit of out of control aggression later. Yeah, it's coming together for him. The pieces of the Nolan Winter puzzle are slowly starting to coalesce and come together to form what we think could be an all-conference type of player. I like it. All right, let's get some comments. Again, appreciate everybody for joining in on a sleepy Sunday. Hope everyone's doing incredible. Jason Gelden, free take looked terrible. We're going to talk about free take in a second. Cannon says Gard needs to pull free take to the side and tell him to slow down. He's moving too quickly. Thomas Miller Winter has surpassed Crowl. I agree. He's got a much higher upside. He's a more fluid athlete. He's a cleaner shooter. I think he is surpassing Crowl, and that's good. Like that's what we should want. And because Crowl, for everything I've said, and I like Steven Crowl, I've talked about this ad nauseum, but he does have more of a ceiling. Winter has a much higher upside. So if Winter starts to unlock that, absolutely. Guy Moyer, happy. Merry Christmas, Badger fans. I echo that. Merry Christmas, y'all crazies. Love y'all. You guys are incredible. JB, free take 0 for 3 with 4 fouls in 3 minutes. That's your guy, Ryan. Listen, do not write off freshman. I'll say that. Do not write off freshman, but he looked rough today. We're going to get to that in the next segment. He definitely looked rough today. Smo, free Ilver. Ilver had 4 threes in 10 minutes today. Like, if he's getting a 30-minute starter workload, the bro's putting up Stephen Curry 16 threes. Yeah, that dude. The thing I always love about Ilver is he'll let it fly. And there's other players on this team that could use, honestly, a little bit more of that. So I appreciate that. He definitely will come in there and shoot the ball. There's no doubt about it. Thomas Miller says, dude was gunning. Absolutely. Mitch Ames, hope we don't start like that against Iowa. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can kind of, in a bubble, understand the slow start to game today against Detroit Mercy, but that's also been a trend this year. There's been multiple slow starts this year, and you can't, at some point, multitudes of things become habits. Habits are like rivers. They form deep, and they're hard to change the course of them once they've formed. You got to reform that river. You got to reform that habit before you, and I don't know if you can a third of the way through the year. Like, there's been 5 or 6 games this year against a variety of competition where the Badgers have come out and not started with the clarity of purpose is maybe the way to do it that they should have started with. And that's something that they got to clean up. All right, we'll take a quick second here, come back. I want to talk about Daniel Freitag a little bit. That's coming up next. Where I think his game is at and what I thought of his performance today. That's coming up next. Locked On Badgers. First, a quick break for our friends of the show. And a quick second, as always, say thank you for tuning in. Today's episode brought to you by our good friends over at Rocket Money. Rocket Money is, listen, it can help you find hidden money. I mean, that should by itself should be enough of a selling point to go check it out, because we could all use a little bit more economy. Like this, it's just a tough time at times to find the extra money. Rocket Money is here to help you find that hidden money with subscriptions that you no longer use. It brings all your financial stuff into one spot. I've had a few subscriptions myself where I just forget that I'm paying for them. And it just, every month it takes it out and I'm like, what is that? And then I am like a squirrel, right? I'm like, oh, new task. And I completely forget about that other one. And then the next month it comes out again. Rocket Money takes care of that. I don't have to stress it. I don't have to waste neurons on it because I don't have enough of those to begin with. Y'all know that. So Rocket Money helps me do that. Rocket Money helps you find those subscriptions. It's a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions, reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Today's episode also brought to you by our good friends over at Game Time. Talk about Game Time a lot. Let's get tickets. Let's do more things together. I think we're settling on the Oregon game for our Locked On Badgers meetup basketball event. We're going to get together, cheer for the Badgers. I think it's going to be the Oregon game, which is a weekend. I'm going to use Game Time to get those tickets. Use code Locked On for $20 off. You get great seats, flash deals, a lot of different entertainment venues. It is an incredible place to do it. Snag the tickets without the stress over at Game Time. Right now, download the app, create an account, use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, create the account, download the app, use code Locked On College for $20 off, and unlock entertainment, unlock experiences, unlock events, unlock your mind. Let's do things together in life in 2025. Find those things over at Game Time. Let's go. All right, let's talk Daniel Freitag, because I think that's the other big thing that we kind of want to hit on today. Freitag didn't look good. So Badgers build a pretty big lead. Gard, which is great. Like this, by the way, that's absolutely what you have to do against these teams because it minimizes the wear and tear on your veterans. It minimizes the risk to injury. You can get your young cats out there. They can start to get game reps. There's nothing like live bullets. There's not, as someone who's played, as someone who's coached, as someone who has worked with AAU players, who's someone who's worked with, I used to do individual training sessions. I had a whole basketball training business where I'd work with high school kids, college kids, and we would grind out sessions. And I'm telling you, there's nothing like live bullets. You can go through hours of drills. And when they get in the game, their mind freezes up. I worked with this incredible kid that honestly should have been probably a D1 player, ended up going overseas and playing professionally overseas. But like in games, he would sometimes just lock up. So these reps are so important. Let's start there. Daniel Freitag is a true freshman. Let's start there. Daniel Freitag was a multi-sport athlete, football and basketball, and didn't play at the greatest high school level. Breck in Minnesota wasn't the greatest high school level competition. I think there was just more growth that needed to happen. And I don't think we necessarily realized that at first. Do not write him off. Straight up, do not, because he has got such an athletic upside that you got to let things like that marinate. Those are the pieces of food that has to marinate maybe a little longer. And you want to be patient with it because there is a tremendous payoff if it hits. That being said, you can tell for everybody who is really frustrated with where's Freitag, you got to play him. He had 3 fouls in 5 minutes today. One of them was on a jump shooter, on like a mid-range jump shot. Like you can't foul the guy there. Close it. And that was just an out-of-control closeout. When it happened, I saw it. That's somebody who is trying to do too much. The game is moving a little too quick. He's trying to make too much of an impression. And that's the last thing you want to do if you're trying to earn playing time. You got to play under control. Close out under control. Chop your feet. Arm up. Box out. Go get the ball. Then leak out on the wing. Get it. Euro step. Dunk. Right? That's the progression. It's not close out of control. Foul the guy. That's the quickest way to not get more PT. He tried to take kind of a charge with a minute left in the game. So 2 things there. I love the mindset. Yeah, go make a play. Be aggressive. Put your body on the line. But you also, again, this is a situation where the game's over. The refs are never going to give you that call. Never going to give you that call. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it at all. So it's moving a little too quick. It is what it is. That doesn't mean you give up on it. It doesn't mean you write it off. I have said this so many times, but it bears repeating again. The world we live in college sports now has sped up expectations of players unrealistically. 10 years ago, you land a guy like Daniel Freitag, nobody's freaking out if he's not playing as a true freshman. Nobody's freaking out. I'm 100%. People are like, oh, okay. Really like his athletic upside. In 3 years, I'm excited to see him. And now because of the portal era we live in, everybody's like halfway through the year, a third of the way through the year, if the young player's not playing, we're instantly like, ugh. I would calm it a little bit, recognize that he's got work to do, recognize that we probably didn't anticipate that as much, and then recognize that there's still a huge athletic upside there. So that's where I'm at on it. Mitch says eventually the light will go on. I think so too. I lean optimist. I really like the kid. I've talked to him. I enjoy. I think he's got a lot of energy and passion. It matters to him. I just think we got to be a little more patient. Oh, Thomas Miller, this is a great point. I wrote this down and I almost didn't get to it. Thomas Miller said, I think Amos gave great minutes today. Looked very engaged on defense as well. Janicki's solid today also. I love this comment. Thank you, Thomas. I thought Amos, this was the calmest I thought he looked on the court. In control, taking what was there, really energetic on defense, had a really nice block on an offensive rebound that Detroit Mercy had. This is a really good sign for Amos. This is maybe one of the best signs out of this game. Because if you can get Amos just to a good, solid footing going into the Big Ten schedule where he can give you 15 minutes a game as a backup front court guy, and this is what he can give you, where he can take it off the drive, make a nice layup, really hustle, compete on the glass, hit an open three. I like it. I mean, he didn't have an open three today, but he was aggressive, smooth, working hard, had a block shot, fighting for stuff on the glass. This is a really good sign for Amos. Greatly agree. And then Janicki, man, he's a revelation off the bench. 3 blocks today. He's just so solid. The word I would use to describe him and the word I would use to describe our defensive line portal recruiting this year is solid. Just solid. Does what he's supposed to do. He's where he should be. Works hard. Can hit the open shot. Competes defensively. Like, he's not getting 3 blocks against better wing athletes, but he's still going to compete defensively. Very, very solid. That's a great point. Steve Kneebone says McGee continues to shine. Love him too. I made a point earlier, like McGee and Gilmore, Janicki's going to be this way too. Just the easiest guys to root for in this portal era, coming in without a lot of fanfare, grinding, getting better every year, year after year, embracing the role, being winning guys, glue guys, culture guys. Those are great culture guys. Those are guys you can build around. Those are really important depth pieces that you didn't necessarily count on. Right, if you bring a Janicki in as a preferred walk-on, sorry, I can't talk. You bring him in as a preferred walk-on. This in the NIL era, this is just gravy boat. You bring a McGee in as a transfer. He sits for a year. People start to write him off, and this is another one, right? A lot of people wrote McGee off after 1 year. A lot of people said, what are we getting here? Don't be too quick to write players off, because now he's an invaluable piece in that backup guard rotation. Absolutely invaluable. And Carter Gilmore, I mean, hats off. Just continued to improve and get better. Those are 3 really key contributors that at various points in time, people had either written off or thought nothing of. So some lessons there for all of us, myself included. Will Hannah, up to this point, Free has been a disappointment. No one, including the staff, thought Free Tay would be this far behind. Frosh or no Frosh. I agree. There's no other way to frame that. That's 100% true. I know the staff thought he would play a role this year. I thought he would. I think he probably thought he would too. So that is completely true. He's behind where people thought he would be. I'll say this, maybe we should have seen that when his high school game, he's throwing a ball off the backboard and dunking. Everybody got really excited about that highlight because it did showcase the upside and the ability, but that's also kind of unserious basketball. And that's not a knock on him. It's really not. It's more a knock on that level he was playing at. You're not really seeing that as much at more serious level. I don't know. That's just something in my head, I guess, a little bit. Maybe we should have seen it coming a little bit more. But again, don't write it off, because I know he works at it, and I really like the upside still. And I think there's a lot of talent there to be unlocked. So definitely don't write it off. JD says Ilver's getting Yakimelli treatment. No. Two very different things. Two very, very different things. I don't think so. Ilver has a lot to clean up still. I would say that. He has a lot to clean up still. I like the shot, but the shot's never really played up in games that mattered and in minutes that mattered. And then defensively on the glass, he doesn't give you that much. So I don't think Ilver and Yakimelli are in the same boat there. Mitch James says Winter is a star. I think he's a star in the making. And another one, Steve Kneebone. Winter, I believe, will be a star. Thomas Miller, Free Take is just a little too undisciplined at this point. Yep. And all right. Steve Schweitzer says the Kohl Center atmosphere is terrible. I hope, yeah. I mean, today's a hard one, but in general, it hasn't been as good as other teams get. And I think it needs to get better. So I would agree with you there, Steve. On Wisconsin, Badgers get a win. Happy holidays to everybody. I'm probably going to do another show here in a little bit just to talk about some of the portal additions. But really, listen, let's just end it here. The Badgers, this was an overmatched team, but the Badgers completely took care of them. Were never really threatened. They were able to get their bench some reps. You go into the Christmas with a comfortable win. There are a lot of teams that sleepwalk through games like this, and for the most part, the Badgers didn't. They showed up. They took care of business. They dominated the game against the team they should dominate. Easy, methodical win. Took them apart. Feels good. That's just a good, solid win against a team you should get good, solid wins against. That bodes well for the Badgers. All right, on Wisconsin. Really do appreciate y'all. Go check out Locked On College Football, Locked On Big Ten when you're done here. We will talk later. Let's go.